Well, the day has come. We are going to get going on reassembly of our Perkins D3.152 3-cylinder diesel out of the Lincoln SA250. Going to get the crank in today, get the pistons in, probably get the pan on, just try to button up the bottom end. So hang around. A little bit of paper towel left on there. Ooh. Struggle's real. Doke. That's going to sit down there like so. On to the next. So where are the bearing caps? Okay, so this is number one. We'll get this bearing out. So I pulled that rear cap back off. So I realized it was the front cap that I was working on that had no hole in the bearing cap, and I put that one in the rear. So yeah, this one actually goes on cap 1 that has no hole for our oil passage. So simple enough, we'll just swap those. And that, sit down there like so. Got what? About 3/4, huh? Okay, so let's put the rear cap back on with the bearing with the hole in it. Lube that bearing out. That leaves our 2 and 3 bearing caps, which should be identical, I believe. And I'm wrong. One of them Has a screw in it. Well, I suppose those are identical. Just one has a screw, probably for the oil pickup. The other does not. And I did mark them on disassembly. You can see that one has 3 dimples in it. This one has 2 right there below the 17G. So they're marked. Definitely good practice to do such a thing, especially if you're like me and have stuff tore apart for months or even years on end, and finally decide to put it back together one day. So what do we got? This is number 2, and it goes like so. So from here, you gotta get in the manual and look up the torque spec. So let me find that. So our main bearing torque spec, 115 foot-pounds. So we'll just do kind of a crisscross pattern from the inside and work our way out. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do it in 2 stages. We'll do, let's say 60. Foot-pounds to start. That'll get us a nice even. Now to 115. All right, let's get this thing, well, before I put it on the stand, I'm gonna put that rear main bearing seal in the seal retainer. There's that cap I was looking for. Okay, got our new seal pounded into the retainer. Already siliconed up one side of my gasket. I'm going to do it on this side as well. of a rupture in the tube. Beautiful. I'm going to add a little drop of oil around the lip of this seal. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Help get it installed. Now, we have a few alignment dowels here. Find spinning them like that to get them started. Typically the easiest way to go about it. Up here we are on our dowels. These all started in. Figured it's probably a hell of a lot easier to do this without the adapter plate on the motor, so why not do it now? I'm going to snug these down, just kind of hand tight. All that set up for a while, and then I'll go through with a torque wrench and even them all out. All right, get it back on the stand. So we're all set up to finally install first piston assembly in this engine. So a few key points to note here as far as installation goes. Stamp number on the rod faces the pump side, which is this side. The top piston arrow faces forward. Now the other thing to go along with this, I suppose, is this was a Reliance rather piston set that I bought, and luckily I checked it and double checked it. As far as the rings, they were already all pre-installed. All four has a 4-segment oil control ring, and all 4 of them were facing down, which is incorrect. They alternate down, up, down, up. So I fixed that, went ahead, installed our new bearing, got some assembly lube on that, and we're ready to run this guy into his new home. So we got our bearing. Okay. Huh. Hold up. There we go. That cylinder's at top dead center. Go figure. She's a beaut. So with that, after I get the other two, well, not after I get the other two, we'll go ahead and rotate it around. We'll get that bearing cap on. I'll go ahead and record me torquing down that one bearing cap and two more after that. And rotating assembly will be complete. We're going in the right direction. Finally, this has been one of those that, kid you not, I've been working on getting this back from the machine shop for going on about a year. I do have probably the slowest machinist on the planet. However, I do believe he is one of the best. So his work is definitely worth it. And really the only thing I had him do, and why it's kind of been at a standstill at this point, is I had him deck the cylinder head, pressure test it, put new valve guides in it, that kind of thing. And then connecting rod this one, the wrist pin bushing was pretty hammered. And I did get replacement ones in the kit. Wrist pin bushings typically are they're oversized and you ream them to the wrist pin itself. So not being a machinist or having that equipment to do such a job, I had to take him that connecting rod and wait for him to do that as well, which took just as long as the cylinder head, unfortunately. But got both of them back. We're on our way. So now, new bearing in that one, lube it up, stamp, goes to the pump side, same as the rod. Got our two bolts. So a few more things here. Went ahead, put the bolts and the nuts already on there. Looked up the torque spec, 70 foot-pounds. It does say in the manual not to reuse the nuts. Rather than replace them, I went ahead and brake cleaned them off real good, all the oil, and red Loctited the piss out of them. And we're gonna torque them and just send it. Okay, one down, two to go. So I went ahead and installed the other two pistons off camera. So we now have a completed rotating assembly. I'm going to go ahead and get the oil pump and the pan back on at this point. So I went ahead and flushed out the oil pump real well with fresh oil. Now we're back over here. We're going to go ahead and bolt the oil pump on. I was going to pull the plate off of the back of the pump to actually measure pump clearances, make sure the pump was good, but I'm not going to be able to get these three. They got like a funky special almost a Phillips, but it's a special type of Phillips head screw, 3 of them, that have all the freaking torque on them. So rather than round them out and destroy this pump, I opted for calling it good. Being that I ran this motor before teardown, I know it made good oil pressure, so shouldn't be a huge concern. Getting this screw to line up is something else. Or bolt, rather. There we go. It's crazy how many people think the road I live on is a racetrack. It goes from what, 40 to 45 one side of my property, and as soon as I see that sign, it's why not crank it to 70? I like to get that supply line fed in there a good bit before I put a wrench on it. Make sure I have good thread. Before we tighten anything down, we'll get all the bolts in. So I do have to pull off the idler gear in order to get to 2 of these, looks like. So we'll just pull this E-clip off, hopefully not launch it across the shop where I'm never going to see it again. Let's get a bigger screwdriver. There we go. Idler will come off. We gotta get those guys to line up. I'm gonna crack that one loose. I think that's going up the works here. Of course, that's a different size. Is it an 11? Interesting. That'll give us a little more movement. My goodness. Almost needing a line punch. Actually, that's exactly what I'm going to get. That looks better. I'm going to go ahead before I put this pan on, and I'm going to dump some oil in the pickup screen and just run this pump by hand and kind of feed oil up into the oil galleys until I get something running out the top. No such thing as too much pre-lube. Okay, on that note, did try to find torque specs. I mean, when I'm building an engine, I try to be pretty precise with everything and torque everything I can. Well, there is no torque specs in the manual for any of these bolts that I could find anyway, so. And I do have a D3.152 Perkins manual, factory manual, but they don't list it. So that means the torque spec is tight. But not too tight where you pull threads or break bolts like an idiot. I know some people have a problem with that, but. I need an oil extension. You know what? That one's an 11 too, isn't it? What size you reckon that nut is? Say somewhere around 21 maybe? Bigger than a 21, huh? Probably 24. 15, 16. Oh, 22 it is. Although I don't know why I'm loosening it. Stunned, I tell you. Those cold snacks that just really sharpen a guy up. Okay, we'll put our idler on. And do some pre-lubage. I'm actually going to go ahead, while I have this idler off, it's got a little itty bitty journal bearing in there. I'm going to go ahead and put some assembly lube in that, because why not? I'll put the red slimy crap in this one. Beautiful. So, I don't know how many of you guys actually subscribe to my channel and watch the majority of my videos, but a while back I had a Chinese Mini X I did a couple videos on. It was a machine that I bought to flip. Freaking sold it last night, so today's a pretty good day. Didn't make a huge profit on it, but made something. I think I was like $4,100 in it, and I sold it for $5,300. So took a little bit, but it'll come up, I guess. Something's better than nothing, right? Better than sitting in the yard and not making money. Okay. Got our jug of oil. Only the best. Travelers. 1540. I'm not sure on rotation. Maybe this way? We'll find out. All I'm gonna do is dump it on the bottom of that piston skirt if it's wrong, which who cares, it doesn't matter. All the extra lubage. Okay, so I was going the wrong way. Well, would you look at that? You have clean oil coming out the bottom. All right. On that note, let's go ahead and just lube. What else have I got in this jug, huh? How much lube? All of it. That should suffice, huh? Okay, let me, well, being that this thing sat here so long, naturally the unpainted surfaces that I've already cleaned on the pan have flash rusted, so let me clean that up and find the pan gasket and we'll set the pan down. It turns out the pan actually protrudes over the timing case, so we're gonna go ahead and put the timing case back on before we bolt the pan down so we can get a good sealing surface. And I'm going to go ahead and slather up our gasket around every bolt hole with some silicone. She's a beaut. Now we'll go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Perfect. Now, as I say, there's two long bolts and then a whole assortment of short ones, but I do see where the long ones go now that I'm looking at this. We got a little bit of dirty old oil right there. Wipe that nasty. Okay. Now it's very graciously hang this on our block without messing up our silicone bead. And actually, I'm going to start with these long bolts. Just like many bolts on this engine, no torque spec for the timing case, so ran them down to number 12 on the clutch on the old DeWalt. I mean, the thing's glued and it has lock washers on these bolts. It's not going to come off. So I'm actually going to do some more work here off camera. I'm not going to bore you with installing gaskets. I do have a little extra of that gasket on either side hanging up. So I'm going to go ahead and razor blade that because my pan gaskets will sit up over that, right? So just to ensure we get a good seal there, gonna remove some of that, but went ahead and slid the crank gear on. I'm gonna go ahead, trim those down like I said, and then get the pan bolted down, and I'll get back with you about then. Have a few odds and ends on the timing case that I'm going to go ahead and install too. There's a removable cover here to access the timing gear or the injection pump gear. There's another one here that I'll probably go ahead and install, but that's about it. That's where we're at. Got the pan all mounted up. No torque spec on that. Same number 12 on the clutch on the DeWalt. I went ahead and installed the idler hub and the idler gear. There is a torque spec for the idler gear bolt, which is 50 foot-pounds. So I'm going to go ahead, torque the idler, and then you have a retaining washer that'll fold an edge over one of the flats. Okay. There's 50 of them. Now we'll pick a flat, any flat that looks decent, and pull that over real quick. Let me grab a chisel. We're just cutting it, damn it. We got enough of it. We're just going to work just fine. Alrighty. All there is to that. And then there's actually same locating dowel on the hub. The hole actually comes all the way through, and there's a fold in the bolt keeper that goes into that to hold it from spinning that direction, if that makes any sense. Okay, I'm gonna try to figure out what happened to my drain plug. I know I set it somewhere to match it up and get a new one because it was destroyed, but I don't really want to turn this motor over till I get a drain plug in it because there's all that oil in there now. So let me look for a drain plug, I guess. So I found the old mangled up drain plug, so I went ahead and reinstalled that so I can bar this thing around. But I did locate, I measured the threads on that, and the drain plug on that particular Perkins is a 3/4 by 16, and I did find a drain plug easy drain hose style kit on eBay for some Volvo engine that's 40 something inches long, and rather than keep the existing drain plug that makes it impossible for a guy to drain oil on one of these machines, I spent the $65 on the hose kit, so we'll actually end up having enough hose we can run it clear out the front of the machine over here and make changing oil on this thing a breeze. So that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, thought I'd share that. I think we're gonna call that a day. Made good progress. Rotating assembly is all finished up. Bottom end's set, so probably don't need to roll it over again unless I'm missing something here that I'm not currently seeing. But yeah, really appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And till the next one, have a good one.